Hi, I'm Carla Cannon, and I wanted to talk to you about morning time. It's something new, fairly new, that we've been doing in our own home school with my 8.5-year-old, my 6-year-old, and my 3-year-old. And I'm just really excited about it, and I'm already seeing great things coming from it, and so I wanted to share with you what I've been doing and maybe get you excited to start your own morning time with your kids. I first came across the idea of morning time when I was perusing Sarah Mackenzie's blog, Amongst the Lovely Things. If you know me, you know I've been a little bit obsessed with her lately, and her books and her podcast, Read Aloud Revival, and really all things Sarah Mackenzie. So when I came across her post and then her Periscope about morning time, I just got really excited because it seemed to be the solution to a problem that I'd been having all throughout our homeschool years. That problem was that I knew the value of reading aloud. I knew the value of doing poetry memorization and learning verses and studying artists and all these really neat things, and none of them on their own really took very much time. I mean, it takes like 2 minutes to practice a memory verse with your kids, but for whatever the reason, I just wasn't getting to these things that I knew had value and were true and beautiful and great things to do with my kids, but we just weren't getting to them on a consistent basis. You know, here and there on a smattering, but it wasn't anything to the level that I thought it would be or would have wanted it to be, and I didn't really have a solution for that. I watched Sarah Mackenzie's Periscope on morning time, and I thought, wow, this is the answer to my problem. And she has 6 kids. If she can do it, surely to goodness I can do it with half as many kids. So it's something that we started really on a really small scale, and then we just built up, and it's really grown and blossomed. But just bear in mind, when I did start it, you know, it was something we were just doing for 5 minutes a day. So as I share with you a little bit more about what it is that we're doing, don't think that we started with it that way. And also that, you know, you need to start small, because if you jump in and try to do a whole bunch of things at once, chances are you're probably going to overwhelm you and your kids, and it won't be as successful as if you just kind of build a little bit at a time. So once I had explored a little bit more about what Sarah had to say about it, I then through her found the Your Morning Basket podcasts from Pam Barnhill, and they are excellent. I was so excited to start listening to those, and they're really well done and gave some great ideas. And so from there, I kind of started building our morning time. And like I said, it started small and it's really kind of grown. So because I like to type things up and make them look pretty, I have been developing our morning time binder. And I think the key with morning time is that you're really going to have to make it fit for your family and your kids and the stage and interests that they have. You know, what works for me is not going to work necessarily for you or the ages of your kids. One of the podcasts I listened to suggested starting your morning time including, you know, not just your school age kids, but also your younger children. And I love that, because with my 3-year-old, you know, while she's very, you know, content for the most part, I really often felt bad that, you know, between doing school things with the big kids and just, you know, the logistics of running a house, I wasn't spending quality time with her like I wanted to, especially during those morning hours, because, you know, of all the other things I was trying to fit in. So by starting our morning time right after breakfast and having her be a part of that, I really feel like I'm filling up her little love tank. She's feeling a part of what we're doing. She's one of the big kids. And then from there, she goes off and plays so much more happily than she does if I had just kind of kept, you know, go play, and did that kind of thing. So the first part of our morning time, you'll see, is our toddler portion. So we all sit down, we pray, and, you know, just something quick to start our day, and then we sing some songs, and you could do anything. It could be hymns if you have older kids, it could be Wheels on the Bus if that's what your toddler likes, whatever it is, everybody sings. She loves to sing, so that's probably her favorite part. I've had this forever, since my oldest was a baby, and it's by Stephen Elkins, and it's really cute. And they have, you know, little Bible stories, but then 2 CDs and songs for each one. So we've been learning some of the songs from these, and she likes to listen to those on her own, and so she knows them, and it's been fun for all of us. So we go through that, we sing, and then I read just a chapter out of this beginner's Bible. You know, and once again, this is something that she enjoys and can sit through. It might be too much for some toddlers, but she likes being read aloud too, so it works well for her. And you can see, you know, there's pictures and about that much text on each page, and that is the beginner's Bible. So that's been working really well for us. And then once we have done that, we've, you know, done the Bible story, then we do a picture book, and I try to pick something that she will enjoy, but that will, and isn't too long, but also appeals to my other kids as well, because there's just so many good quality picture books out there, and they're not just for little kids. So we're kind of in the middle of a wolf unit study with my son, and so I got this book. It was hilarious, and it was really funny. You know, she didn't probably, my 3-year-old didn't totally get it, but I talked about point of view with my older daughter, and it was, you know, the story of the 3 little pigs from the wolf's perspective. So we read that, and that was fun. And then at that point, she is free to go. And, you know, often she'll kind of hang close and listen or play at our feet. But then I just feel like she is more content. She's been a part of it, and at that point she's done sitting, so she's pretty happy to go off and have a little independence, which gives me some less interrupted time with the big kids. And also because she does stick around and listen, then I kind of structured the next part, you know, just in case she is kind of paying attention, because often she will. And so we do poems. We love poetry. We read a decent amount of poetry. You can get free online over the summer the first 2 sections of this. The picture's different, but it's really good. It's by Andrew Pudewa from the Institute of Excellence in Writing, and it has some, you know, why memorize, but it also has a great selection of poems, and so we've learned lots of them from there. It's a good way to have poems at your fingertips without having to do a lot of research about kind of where to start. My other place that I just think everyone should have this is A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, and they're just my favorite poems for kids. They're so lovely, and this particular edition has nice illustrations. Here's my shadow. My daughter had memorized that one, and so we're just kind of slowly working our way through this and read, you know, 1 or 2 a day, and we've memorized from there as well. So that's been really fun. So we do a poem, and then we do our either a Bible story or a devotion, depending on if we're learning a new memory verse or not. And I am going to do a separate podcast on what we use for our Bible, so I won't show you that now, but, you know, we do our Bible story, and then we memorize memorize verses. I keep all the verses that we do here in our binder. I print those out, and then we have them, and then also we learn a song that kind of corresponds with the verse. So, you know, there was this verse, and then we learned the song The Perfect 10. So that is a quick peek at what we do for our Bible. And that just takes a few minutes, you know, not very long at all. And then I like to read an Aesop fable. You sure wouldn't have to, but my kids like them, and they're so short, so it only really takes, you know, 2 minutes to do. I have this little book on Aesop's fables I stole from my mom's house. It's handy having a mom with lots of stuff like that. So we read an Aesop's fable, and then that could be it. It just depends on how our day is. So if we have something going on in the morning, which I generally try to avoid because I like to be home in the mornings, but if we do, then, you know, we can end it there, and it's great. Like, my kids have already been exposed to poetry, they've done some memorization, and they have, you know, we started our day with some really great stuff. So that could be it, but generally speaking, we're around in the morning, and so then we go into kind of our read aloud portion, and I try to vary what we read, but do little smatterings. You know, we do follow a lot of the sunlight recommendations, but kind of at our own pace and on our own interests. but that's always a good resource to go to if you're looking for good read alouds. So kind of the categories that I try to pick from for our read aloud, you know, include something from a chapter book, whatever our chapter book is. And I have to admit, for our current chapter books, what's been working well is we do them as audiobooks. And so before we've even hit morning time, we've already listened to at least 1 or 2 chapters as we've eaten our breakfast. And right now we are working through the Little House on the Prairie series, and that just kind of helped condense this a little bit because, you know, we only do have so much time when there's a toddler in the picture. So by the time we've already done probably at least a couple chapters, 1 or 2 from our whatever chapter book we're reading. I try to read something nonfiction. Like I said, we're reading about wolves, so I'll read a few pages. We did this morning by Gail Gibbons. So we read, actually I think we read all of it, but that was just, the kids were really into it. So if you're not familiar with Gail Gibbons, she is wonderful for nonfiction. I really like her books for kids, so those are great. So we do some nonfiction, and I have a collection of missionary stories. So we read, you know, 1 of those a day. They're really short, but we'll just read, you know, a quick one of those. And then, you know, we'll read some kind of classical literature, just a little bit. You know, we read some of Shakespeare's stories, just, you know, condensed children's versions. Right now we're reading some chapters from, here we go, the Usborne, the Illustrated Tales of King Arthur, because we didn't get through that when we had done our Middle Ages unit study. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that is what we do for our morning time. And it takes, you know, we can spend anywhere from the first kind of section before read aloud really kicks in, takes us about 20 minutes, and then just after that, it just depends how much we read aloud. You know, we can go for up to an hour, we can stop after the first 20 minutes, so, you know, we kind of just go with it depending on the day. I think a great place to get, you know, more inspiration and ideas are those episodes by Pam Barnhill, the Your Morning Basket, and she really lays it out well and talks about the different elements of morning time. Pam Barnhill identifies 4 different elements that she thinks should be in morning time, some kind of broad things. So those are reading, which, you know, that's a huge part of it for us. The ritual, which, you know, just kind of means you're doing it on a regular basis. Recitation, which is some kind of memory work. So, you know, that's your poems, that's Shakespeare, that's memory verses, you know, kind of whatever you are doing currently with your kids. And then her 4th R is relationships. And when I first heard that, I was calling it relationships, like, I just want to get my memory work done. But it really has built our relationships even more. You know, not that we were having problems, but I do feel, it makes me feel good knowing that we've read and we've cuddled and we've spent that time, you know, kind of first time of the day. And I'll be honest, you know, we don't always get to it first thing in the morning. There are certainly days where life gets in the way and we don't. And, you know, I definitely do have the flexibility that we can do it, you know, in the afternoon when we're tired or in the evening sometimes. But truly, in order to really be consistent with it, I try to make a priority to do it first thing after breakfast, because if I don't, it often won't happen, you know, despite my best efforts. So even if we're doing a little bit more of a condensed version, it really works out well to get it in first thing in the day as much as possible. So I hope you are excited about the idea of morning time and have some ideas about how you could make it work for your kids and your family. And just stick around, and I am going to make some shorter videos dealing with some topics such as poetry, what we do for Bible, some ideas for art study, artists and different resources for that, and also some music study, you know, to learn about some of the great composers. So I have lots of ideas for all of that. It was too much to do it all in this one, but just keep your eyes out, and I will be posting some of those videos to help get you started with your morning time and including the elements that you're excited to include, and just to give some resources that I found that I've been excited about. So have fun learning about morning time and developing your own. It has been so great for us.